I was going to bring a water up here and I didn't.
You forgot.
Come on, yeah, there you go. Yeah, that'd be fine. That work? You guys can sit down.
Okay, we'll sit down.
Is that what he said? She said.
Now you'll have to adjust this mic for you. Obviously, my height's a little different, so you'll have to adjust this. You'll have to adjust this mic to you.
Okay.
My height will be a little different.
Yeah, you're 6'5.5".
Who has a pen? You have a pen? Yeah. I'm gonna leave that up there on the deal, okay? I'll get it. Good morning. I didn't quite hear you. Good morning. So awesome to see this crowd this morning, full of student athletes, young and vibrant, former student athletes, former coaches, and certainly all of the Cougar faithful that are with us this morning. I have to mention every year on this day that this is by far my favorite day of the year as athletic director here at Barton Community College. So I guess that's an intro for myself. I'm Trevor Rolfs, for those of you that don't know me. It's my 11th year as athletic director here. And I, like many of you student athletes sitting out there in the crowd today, was in your shoes a short time ago. Actually, it was a long time ago, but I think it's special that we have a lot of student athletes who attend this ceremony because sometimes they don't realize it, but one day they will, and some do now, how special a place this really is. And you're going to get to hear from a lot of individuals today about their experience with Barton Community College. And I think what makes things here so special is the fact that it's one big family. And I tell that to the students when we have our entire athletic department orientation session the second or third day they're here on campus, that this is their family now. I have them look to their left and their right and amongst each other, and some come from Great Bend, Kansas, and some come from Australia and all around. But this is their family now, and I think more than anything, that's what makes this place really, really special. And you're going to see a lot of that today as we listen to our presenters and our new inductees in the class of 2022. It's great to be here too, because last year we were not able to have this. And so we had a pause last year and no induction class. And so that makes today even more special and more meaningful as we're able to get back at it and recognize so many Barton greats that deserve that recognition. Speaking of Barton greats, we have some Hall of Famers with us this morning. And I think I've got them all highlighted, but if I don't, we certainly want to recognize you if you snuck in on me when I wasn't looking. On the stage as a presenter today from the class of 2002 is Hall of Famer Ray Bouchard. From the class of 2004, I saw come in today, and he's currently a Booster Club board member, went into the Hall of Fame as a contributor, Kevin Sundahl. Would you stand, Kevin? From the class of 2016, track and field coach Ray Seib is with us this morning. Where are you at, Ray? Here's Ray. From the class of 2017, longtime contributor and Barton Athletics team doctor, Dr. Perry Smith is with us this morning. From the class of 2019, men's basketball inductee Steve Griffin is with us. Where are you at, Steve? I probably missed somebody. Is there a Hall of Famer out there that I missed? Where's Sydney at? Sydney, how do you say that last name? You stay standing. Blywe? Was that close enough? How about Sydney is with us today? Welcome, Coach. It's good to see you again. There's also a lot of family here of current and former Hall of Fame inductees, so thank you for being here as well today. We will recognize publicly our new inductees and all of those former inductees between the women's and men's basketball games this afternoon, roughly 3:30-ish. So we'll look forward to public recognition, and I'm sure there'll be more Hall of Famers with us at that time as we do that. Well, I'm going to get off of this mic and we're going to get on with what we're here for today. But I want to close with my welcome and also welcome from Dr. Heilman. You'll see that on the program. Dr. Heilman was not able to be with us this morning, attending to some family matters. So on behalf of Dr. Heilman, on behalf of Barton Community College, and certainly our athletic department, we are going to honor and recognize service, dedication, leadership, passion, certainly success, work ethic, family, as I mentioned earlier, and the pride of Barton Community College athletics as we induct 3 well-deserving Hall of Fame candidates today. With us to introduce our first Hall of Fame inductee for 2022, the aforementioned 2002 Hall of Fame inductee, longtime Barton Community College head volleyball and assistant basketball coach, and currently the head volleyball coach at the University of Kansas. Please, a warm welcome for Mr. Ray Bouchard. Glad you're here.
Very cool. Hey, it's so good to be back here, and it's so good to see so many student athletes here. I could probably go into detail about my career here as a student athlete, but since Griff's here and Coach Ray Seib's here, they'd probably discount a lot of the stories I was going to tell. So, but I had the best 2 years of my life here as a student athlete many years ago, and then had the fortune to come back as a coach. I met a cute cheerleader here when I was a student athlete. Now I've been married to her for 40 years. So Pam, where are you at? Can you stand? Great bender, Pamela Brown back there. Hey, back then they used to let the basketball players judge cheerleading tryouts. I don't know if that was a good idea or not, but she got a high score from me, so, and still does. But no, as spent 15 years coaching here, and as Trevor mentioned, initially as assistant women's basketball coach, and then got an opportunity to coach the women's volleyball team for 13 years, and went on quite a run. And a reason for that is we had a lot of great two-sport athletes, and one of those I want to talk about today. Christi, she graduated from Inman High School, and a little undersized for volleyball, the middle position, a really good off guard in basketball. But what she was an extremely competitive young lady who brought it every day. In her 2 years at Barton, the volleyball team won 108 matches and lost 8. Undefeated at home, conference champs, Region 6 champs. And her sophomore year, we played for the national championship. We lost 1 match that year. We had to play the national championship against Miami-Dade South on their home court, a team we'd beat earlier in the year. And we got beat in the national championship match, but certainly that was a great year. And in basketball that year, Jerry McCarty, I was his assistant coach. We went all the way to the Final Four in basketball, and Christi was a starter on the basketball team, and played Kilgore, Texas, basically on their home floor. in the semis when we lost that game. But there wasn't anybody that I associated with that competed any harder than Christi did in both sports. She showed up every day. She was consistent. And when you talk about leadership, you know, a lot of people, I'm sure your coaches have talked about, hey, you need to lead by example. And I think when you lead by example, that's great, but you're only halfway there when you lead by example. Not only did she lead by example, she set a standard, and she expected everybody around her on her team to reach that standard. So she's not only leading by example, she's holding other people accountable. And that's why she was such a joy to coach. She was also, I think, the leader in mischief opportunities off the floor on many occasions. I'm gathering more information after I left about things that went on, but her and her teammates I know are still great friends still. And when Trevor talks about family, that's exactly what this is about. She stays in close contact with a lot of the teammates that she had from Barton County many, many years ago. And I'm really excited for her. She's very deserving of this honor, and I think she represented Barton in great fashion her 2 years here. So let's welcome Christi up here as a member of the Hall of Fame.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate that. Well, first and foremost, I just want to thank everyone for coming here. This is absolutely incredible. I did not know there were going to be this many people here, so now I'm a little nervous. But I just want to thank my family first. They supported me as an athlete. They were pretty much there for every game. My dad, Paul, my mom, Sandy, and my sister, Sherry. Growing up in Inman, in a small town, I did pretty much every sport you could. You were on the cheerleading team, you were in the band, you were everything. So it was a small 2A high school, about a town of 1,000, about 1,000. So my family supported me in all that. I just want to thank them. My mom, in fact, decided to get hired on by the high school to be a bus driver. That way she could go to all my games. My dad did go to pretty much all the games, even in St. Louis and Miami, Florida. So they all supported me. My sister, who is here now, I want to thank you, because without her, I wouldn't have been such a brat, which turned into such a competitive person. And that worked out well on the court. So thank you. To Barton County, it was, the 2 years I was spent here was a great time. It was a family. Everything was fabulous, from living on campus, down in the dorms, walking up that hill in 100-degree weather, in -50, with this Kansas wind. Yeah, and I still wouldn't trade it for anything. So it was great. And that had a lot to do with the coaches I had here. Coach McCarty in basketball and Coach Bouchard were fabulous. In volleyball, Coach Bouchard and Russ Kenningham were special. And we really knew we were lucky to have that kind of a coach coaching us on the floor, and just great role models. So thank you. Barton County was fabulous. My freshman year, we didn't continue on and do as well as my sophomore year, but it still was fabulous. My sophomore year in volleyball, like Coach said, we ended up doing so well through the season that we ended up #1 in the nation. We were all stoked. We were 52-0 going into the national tournament, which was in Miami, Florida. And when this coach came to my house in Inman, he promised my parents that we would go to the national tournament, and I would have to get on a plane and fly there. And at the time, I knew he was crazy. I was like, well, this country farm girl wasn't going to get on a plane and fly to Miami. But guess what? He knows his business. He got us there, and it was exciting. Even though we lost and had runner-up, got second, got beat by Miami-Dade, it was a fabulous time, fabulous season. And that carried into basketball, which was another great season. Another great team, getting coached by fabulous coaches. We ended up 4th, and in a tournament down in Tyler, Texas, that had a lot of great athletes. Several of the names, as I look back through some of the media guides, were ladies that went on and played in the WNBA. So, has anybody ever heard of Cheryl Swoops? Yeah, that was our competition. So, anyway, Barton County, I just want to thank everyone in contact with Barton County, the boosters, the alumni, the employees, the teachers, the people from here and Great Bend. It was a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and I enjoy it. And then last but not least, I want to thank my husband, David, and my son, Zach, for being here. I love you guys. You've been supportive in everything I do. Up to this point, I'm so glad you could be here for me, and I love you both so much. Thank you. Thank you.
How about one more big hand for our newest inductee, Christi, Ensz, Rife. Congratulations. Our next inductee came to us all the way from Canada and Wyoming, a long ways away. Christi from a town of 1,000. Far as Inman from here, about 50 miles. And then all the way from Canada via Wyoming. And I think as all the student athletes get settled in the fall, they really start to look at that family and all of the different places that so many of these young men and women come from. And so it's going to be really interesting to hear a different story from a young man who came here to play tennis and then ended up coaching here. It's a remarkable story and one that I can't wait to hear. And to introduce to us our newest 2022 inductee, please help us welcome Taylor Bieberly. Making sure I didn't forget anything. Oh yeah, I forgot to give that back.
Thanks for having me here today, guys. So my name's Taylor Bieberly. I'm just from down the road, local boy. Grew up in Claflin, Kansas here. Was a Claflin Wildcat there in high school. It's since been changed since I've been there. But I've known, obviously, Jeff I've known him for a very, very long time. And I'm very honored to be able to have this opportunity today to introduce a very good mentor, a former coach, and a very good friend into the Barton Sports Hall of Fame. There's nobody that deserves it more. His resume definitely speaks for itself. So Jeff and I, we do go way, way back. I started dabbling in tennis when I was around 8 or 9. That's when my dad started getting me into it. And ultimately from there, tennis became a little bit more serious than I would ever have imagined. Here enters Jeff at about 10, 11 years old. Jeff was always, as a coach here, starting in 2000 and ultimately until 2003, but during around the 2001, 2002 years, I would come down here to tennis camps, ultimately that he was putting on. He was very supportive of, the surrounding communities and trying to get people out and playing tennis. And, tennis isn't a sport in rural America that you really see many people playing, especially in these small towns. They hardly have any tennis courts. And so to get the opportunity to ultimately come over to Barton County on a regular basis and get to experience some of the top talent that he brought in, I really am fortunate that I was able to see some of the broad spectrum of individuals that he was able to bring in and as far as the talent that he was able to get here. The big thing with Jeff is and I never really quite understood how good of a recruiter he was, and he is to this day. But I do know that it takes a dramatic amount or a tremendous amount of talent to recruit, and he's just got this very keen eye for evaluating. And I will say, I think Jeff is one of the most brilliant minds and one of the most brilliant evaluators that I've ever seen as far as the game of tennis is concerned. But back in the day, it's even more incredible of a feat to get the talent that he brought to ultimately Barton County and that I got to grow up and experience watching. It was kind of a sophisticated way of recruitment. When they used those carrier pigeons, they sent those pigeons to, get their recruit, and that pigeon would send another note back. That's how they did it back in the day. So ultimately, I find it fascinating that he was able to get one of the messages from one of those messenger pigeons clear to Cindy Bwalia there in Zambia. And he somehow landed one of the better recruits because obviously Cindy's a Hall of Famer in his own right here at Barton County. I grew up getting to know Cindy, and I knew him very well through my youth. When Jeff was done, obviously, with Barton County, I was still able to kind of grow with him as kind of a mentor as well. But Jeff he's come a long ways in his well, I might be telling a lie here now because I see him show up with paper all ratted up here and yellow paper, and he's still writing with pen and paper. So I'm on my phone over here. I got mine all written down nice and clean. But he's come a long way, and he's able to now utilize, kind of the technology, that we have nowadays to still recruit some of the best talent out there. Now being that he's in, Alabama coaching and having a very successful career over there. But just a little bit more about my journey with him. Obviously through my youth, he was a very good, he was essentially a coach of mine. And then after he had left here, he went to Texas Christian University, coached there for a year, and I was able to go down and experience some of the top talent that he was able to help recruit down there as well. I learned from and got to play with some of the best talent, what I considered in the world. And it was at that time where Jeff gave me, some of the best confidence that I've ever had in knowing my potential in tennis, and that this was something I really wanted to do. And so fast forward to 2008, he recruited me to play for him at the University of Idaho. I was very fortunate that I got to play there for 4 years under his guidance. And I had some of the best tennis and travel experiences that I could ever imagine. Met a lot of great people, awesome teammates, continue to have long-lasting friendships that were made possible simply by knowing Jeff and having the incredible opportunity of just knowing him since I was a very young kid. He's had nothing but positive influences on my life, just like I know he has for many others. I cannot think of anyone more deserving, for this particular induction. And today I just want to introduce Coach Jeff Beaman.
No, thank you for that. Like you said, paper and made me change up my speech a bit. That's been changed many times over the past 2 weeks. Meeting Sydney last night and his fiance, seeing Brian Brown back there, former teammate. I could take up a lot of time. This is a very special place. There is something special about this place. I'm going to save talking about meeting my wife here for the end so that I don't choke up. It is, I came on a recruiting visit here. It's chance. I remember trying to prepare for this speech and watching the YouTube videos of different Hall of Famers and trying to get ideas. And then people talking about memories. It's not about the resume, the All-Americans, or where the team finished. I feel this is about the experience. I'm not in here as a great tennis player. I feel when I was a tennis player here, I was more of a coach. I wanted to help Randy Moyers have a great team. I wanted to fill a role, help get the best schedule possible. I transferred to a Division I Alabama A&M, and we had 3 coaches in 2 years, and I finished up. I started coaching there as a student assistant. They were great people, but it was the associate head football coach. It was a minister. It was a computer repair guy. So I really took on myself to try and have effective practice, recruit good people. One of them that came, and when I got the call to coach here at Barton, transferred here, played for me, transferred to Montana State. It's about relationships, this job. It's, and I really feel that my experience as an athlete here, playing for Randy Moyers, you learn from what you experience. And to have somebody that was in charge of a pharmacy, at that point I think he had 3 kids, now he has 5, but the dedication to run practice, to take trips, to expand, travel, play the regional in Texas, work individually with you, meet with you as a person. It's really, I think, something that by experiencing it, it gave me something that I wanted to emulate, to be a part of. Unfortunately, he's not here today. He's not dead. He's at a KU football game, or a basketball game. One of his sons, an oncologist, family reunion. He said he hasn't done anything for 2 years, COVID, and it just randomly happened that KU's playing Kentucky. And he's a huge KU guy, pharmacy school there. They're doing a family reunion. I had the opportunity, Coach Lyle set up, met him when I came through town on Thursday. But a true influence, and I don't know how he didn't want to strangle me at times. And there's times that, I was young. I don't want to say I was stupid, but yeah, I was. My wife's saying it is something. Coaching, I feel I'm here as a coach, and it's about relationships, communication, and helping people, which is not always being best friends with them, really develop into the best possible athlete, the best possible person. With Taylor, nurse practitioner, and his family's here. Stay in touch with his parents. Sydney, Sam Wrinkle wasn't able to be here. High school kid like Taylor that I coached, went on, signed him to come to Barton, left, but he played at Barton, went on to Ouachita Baptist. Now he's a high school coach in Texas. Let's just say being a high school coach in Texas is nice. 36 courts in the town and potential for indoors, but he brings people from Barton. I don't know if the tennis team is here, but I think we have a tennis player that worked for him this summer. He still has that connection to Barton, and he has that connection to me where he hosts college events at his great facilities. There is something special about this place. It's the people. It's not just athletics. When I was making notes about what I would talk about, Lori, do you remember me? And, it's not, it is the thing of staying in touch through Facebook, and but it's more here, like the help that you did. Dana, that's, a very special lady that That's where. No, it's, I don't know if I cried at my wedding, but it's, no, it is something. The very special people. I remember, you know, as an athlete, coaches with a presence. I don't know if Ray Bouchard remembers having me in class, probably not. But it's, I thought he was a foot taller, and but no, the you know, seeing Mike Warren, I don't know if he's here today, but you know, a legend. It's people with a presence as a student athlete. You know, then working here, and I think Ray and then your assistant had moved on to Kansas State, but Mike was still here, and you know, we talk about community, the family. Mike and Debbie, that's, I don't know, the Barton power couple, and going to their house. You know, I was still scared of him because he was a coach when I was an athlete here. Not scared, I think looked up to him. Joe Berger, last night when I couldn't sleep, trying to think about what I was going to write about, Lyles Lashley, a track coach, remembering the colleagues that, you know, whether it's Charlie's Place, I was over 21, or the, you know, just the community, the fellowship of the people that you worked with, Lyles, going back to Louisiana, bringing back shrimp. It's, you know, cooking late night at the house. I don't know if Ron Mason remembers me, but no, it's the booster get-togethers after the basketball games. You know, getting to talk with Ron at Club 24, which I don't think no longer exists, but it's, you know, this is, there is something special about this place. I came here by chance. Taylor talked about technology. Back then, I was going to go to University of Wyoming to play baseball, and they were dropping the program. I had shoulder surgery. I was going to Wyoming. I had relatives there. Decided to do an extra year of high school, and played tennis in the fall. And won a state championship, not degrading Wyoming. It's not the best state championship to win, but I developed a passion for tennis. And sent some letters out back then. I found a book at a tennis club and handwritten letters. You maybe got a phone call. I think we still had a rotary, maybe we had a push button phone. I then realized after spending an entire afternoon writing a bunch of handwritten letters, putting the stamp on it, mailing them out, went back, looked at the book. Barton didn't have men's tennis. First coach that responded to me, Randy Moyers. What are the chances? If I paid better attention to detail, I would have never written that letter to come here. I had other schools respond, but formed a connection. Randy felt that he wanted to develop something special, came out, visited. You have certain things that they talk about sticking in your mind. Wedding day. I remember 9/11 when I was here in the library, and it was happening on the radio. Showing up in Great Bend with my dad to come visit a cross-country athlete running down, I don't know what that road is, you know, hitting with Randy at Town and Country. And for some reason, I think there used to be a buffet, Black Angus. I don't know. I remember going there. I don't remember if it was good or bad. But just coming here, I was a pretty good student. I was looking at, my dad wanted me to go to Cornell, walk on. But seeing basketball players playing in the summer, I wanted to be a part of this. And, you know, I really feel I made the right decision. Sorry, don't have a phone, gotta flip pages. But I think with your athletic director, it's impressive to see what's happened here. This floor. When I came and visited, this building did not exist. It was built, and it had a plastic floor. It had a little weight room. I haven't gone over there. But seeing this basketball floor, seeing the indoor tennis court, seeing the success of the many sports that are here, and seeing so many sports that are added. I think being a student athlete it's something that's very valuable. I think getting a job while you're in college is valuable. But to see where this place has come to, it's impressive. Lyles, when you retire, I might be looking to come back. It is something. The community with overall, just to be a part of a young person that probably shouldn't have been hired. Neil Elliott, I want to thank Neil Elliott. He was the athletic director, interim tennis coach, reached out to me. At that point, I was looking at certain different grad schools. I thought this would be, my wife and I, we loved Barton County, our experience here, the community. Let's do it for a year or two. 23 years later, I actually just went back to finish my graduate degree. But to coach here and to be here as an athlete, to coach here was an amazing experience. I think Todd, he reached out to me, and it's like something serious, something funny. I'm totally off track. I have something funny, and when we were driving, my wife said, "No, that story's it's inappropriate." So that one will be at the Best Western, 8 o'clock tonight. But it's about Julian Tustin. I think being a professor here, teaching, I had some health issues when I was here. Jolene, amazing, strong woman, straight shooter. Then when I was teaching here, I had to teach nutrition for the School of Nursing. And, personal and community health, weight training, that was fun. I realized I was spending more time preparing for my nutrition classes than I was teaching them. But you want to do it right. Jolene, she gave a talk about birth control to the class, and 8 o'clock tonight at the Best Western. But overall, I just want to thank the committee. I want to thank the athletic director. I want to thank Randy Moyers, who's not here, Neil Elliott, who gave me this opportunity. I want to thank Ken Henderson. This could go on forever. Lyles. But I just want to end with, for the athletes that are here, realize this is, there's something special about this place. And whether it's going on to that next level, Division I pro, or it's getting a job, really embrace your time here. And you are somewhere special. Thank you.
Thank you.
8 o'clock at the Best Western.
Oh, that's the one about your wife? You
No.
said you didn't want to break up.
No, well, I guess he reminded me, and somebody very special. I don't know, she was giving me the fingers that mean like, hey, wrap it up. But no, I met my wife. Do you still have 7 a.m. classes here? I don't think so. And I think the former person referenced 50-degree heat and minus 50 and freezing rain. Psychology, 7 a.m., walking on black ice. But the one thing I did do, I passed the class, and I noticed my wife, Lori. I think these days it would be called stalking. I don't even know if she knows about it. we had internet dating and messaging. We had a mailroom, and you also used to write letters and receive letters, and I figured out when she went to the mailroom. And, then it's getting, finding out who her friends are, and, it was something that a lot of years later, we were very lucky to have a 3-year-old, and Lori had the great opportunity to work with Angie Maddie, work with Neil Elliott's wife. She worked in student services. She also bartended at Club 24 because I was on the road so much, and helped drive the van on trips. But I just want to thank my wife for putting up. I think being a coach's wife, moving, New Mexico, TCU, Idaho, it's, she put a lot of things on hold. But I just want to say thank you for everything, for putting up with me to this day. And I want to thank you for the opportunity we have with our daughter. And I'll wrap it up now. Thank you.
Congratulations, man. Glad you're here today. Thank you, Jeff. Jeff's my kind of guy. The Big Chief tablet and a pencil. I'm 48, Jeff. How old are you? 46, so we can say we're old school. Yeah, it's kind of hard to say as a mid-40s you're old school, but I appreciate the yellow tablet and the pencil. But congratulations again, Jeff. From being a student athlete here to meeting your wife here to being a coach here. And, I told you before we started you were going to hear a lot of stories, again, from small town to different countries to connections. And those connections that Jeff spoke so often of in his speech, those connections turned into family. And again, it sounds like, Jeff keeps in touch and Christi keeps in touch with all of the people that they met here that made their time here so special. The word special's been used a lot. It's used a lot every year. I use it all the time when I talk about Barton Community College athletics. If you look around our league and you look around the country, certainly with 22 sports here, we get to see a lot of things at a lot of places. Do we have the best of everything in every sport? Absolutely not, as it relates to facilities. But I think we have the best people there is to offer, the best coaches, the best support staff, whether it's student services or administration, all the way down to the people that work in the cafeteria. We have a lot of special people. And our next inductee, our final inductee of our 3 today, is just that. He's very special. I obviously never met Christi before today. Heard a lot about Christi, and certainly her time here and her success here speaks for itself. And never met Jeff before today. His time and his story here speak for itself as honorable admission into the Hall of Fame. But I've known David Foss for a long, long time. And Jeff mentioned his wife, Dana, who was the athletic secretary here for a long, long time. And like a second mother to so many student athletes for 30 plus years, might have even been 40. It's kind of like Doc Henderson. We kind of lose track of how long Doc's been touching lives here. But David was always along Dana's side. And I knew David was heavily involved with things when I was a student athlete here. But like Jeff said, we're busy at 7 a.m. sociology and downtown and checking out cheerleaders and whatever. But I remember David's face. I remember David was always around and so supportive of the department and Dana, and then certainly his involvement with the Booster Club. And as you saw in your program, 46 years of service. Special. Extremely special. And hopefully it'll all come out with his daughter Lori presenting and David's acceptance speech about that family that we talk about so much today and how much that family is ingrained in this college. Without further ado, I want you to help me welcome the presenter for David Foss today, his daughter, Lori Crowther. Give him heck. I have to adjust that down.
I'm not sure I need to introduce David now. You did a great job. Thank you. Today is a very special day for our family. First, I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame Selection Committee for selecting David as one of your 2022 Hall of Fame inductees. And second, I want to thank David for asking me to introduce you today. I'm honored. I'm going to stay within my notes because this makes me nervous, and I'm really trying not to cry, which I've already cried several times. And I cried when I saw Sydney. Snuck up on me, didn't you? I'll see you afterwards. David came into our lives over 40 years ago. Darn it. When he met and married my mom, Dana Foss. With my mom's job at the college in the athletic department, he instantly became a Cougar fan. During that time, they attended so many events here on campus, so many on the road. Hopefully, he'll have some stories for you today. I think some of their vacations were centered around going to tournaments. I know when we had the Region 6 basketball tournament in Salina and Wichita, they spent the week there. That was one of their vacations. So this family thing is very important because they became second parents to so many athletes and coaches. They still keep in touch with many of those athletes and coaches as well. David's a member of the Cougar Booster Club and was a previous board member for many years. He was instrumental in helping to start the Cougar Booster Club golf tournament. For the past 9 years, he continued to contribute to the success of this golf tournament by soliciting all over Barton County for sponsors, prizes, and teams. I've heard from many that when they saw David walk in the door, many of the businesses, when they saw David walk in the door, they would say, "Foss is here, get your checkbook out." We all know that David can be very outspoken, but his opinions just show how passionate he is about Cougar athletics. The last few years have been very difficult for our family. But I know if my mom could be here today, she'd be very excited for David. She would be the one introducing him today. And believe me, she would have fun stories and exciting stories. You would enjoy them. She would probably have a poem because she likes poems. David, your contributions to the college and Cougar athletics are outstanding over these years. Congratulations. I'm truly honored to introduce to you David Foss, one of your 2022 Hall of Fame inductees.
Sorry about that.
You're going to do great.
Huh?
You're going to do great.
Oh, yeah. Mercy. Well, I screwed them up. We can't see through them. First of all, I would like to congratulate both Jeff and and Christi for being recognized as recipient of the Hall of Fame. I'd also like to thank Lori for her presentation there of me. I started out here at college back in the 70s, I think it was. A young man came to me and wanted me to join the Booster Club. And I told him, I said, Larry, I said, I can't. He said, why not? And I said, because I can't go to your meetings. I said, I work for a living. And he said, well, sometimes I do too. But he said, we have our meetings on Fridays. And he said, I know you're off on Fridays. So he said, you're going to be a prime candidate for me. And I said, okay. I said, I'll bite the bullet. What do you need? He said, I need help with a golf tournament. And I thought for a while, I thought, well, let me talk it over with Dana. Well, I didn't even have to get the words out of my mouth, and Dana said, do it, you know, so I've done it ever since. But, you know, I sit and look at this building and remember, Christi brought it up about this thing wasn't here when I first came out here. This was cold grass, very few trees. We'd have to go through that entrance right there to get in to go to the games. Dana she'd come out when she'd have a game out here, and she'd make a list for me to do. And she said, you follow it like it's written there. And I got to looking at that list, and I thought, I'm going to be backtracking quite a bit. Let me just simplify this thing a little bit. So I grab a packet full of programs, and in those days they had those turnstiles, and you'd have to write down the number that was on that turnstile and where it was located at and everything else, and then reset it back to 0. Well, me and little knobs don't work too good, and I was always messing it up. But anyway, I finally figured out how to do that, run that program, and I'd take and drop so many programs off there, and then I'd go to the next one and do the same thing, and then I'd be done in 15, 20 minutes. I'd come back down here to her office. She said, there's no way in hell that you're done already. And I said, yes, I am. So I remember a lot of things that transpired out here. I remember one night we had a blizzard outside, and the police came out, sheriff came out, and said that he wanted everybody to stay in the gym and not to leave until it quit snowing. Well, I think it was about 3:45 in the morning, the snow quit. There were idiots who had tried to leave and wound up across the road over there in that field. Cars still running, lights on, flashers going, you know. But I don't know. This has been a good ride. I want to thank my family, all of them that are here. We don't get together too often, like we should probably. But there's several of them that can't be here today. Had another commitment. And I want to thank Lori again. Without her help in the last 2 years, I don't know what I would have done. She's been my eyes, she's been my ears through this whole thing, and I don't know, it's something that I wish Dana could be here today, but she can't, and it's been very trying. But I'm starting to ramble.
You're good.
I had Todd working on a deal for me. We were going to borrow Biden's teleprompter and put back there. But Biden said he needed it today, and he said, besides, we can't get the print that large so you could see it. So I had to abolish that. I'm done? I'm done. She says, I'm done.
He's done.
Sounds just like her mother. But anyway, she says I'm done, so I guess I better quit rambling. I don't have anything else to talk about, really. I'm just glad. I'm thankful for the college, thankful for Dr. Howman, thankful for Trevor and the athletic department for presenting me with this prestigious award. This is something I can put on my resume when I apply for a job next week. Thank you, Trevor.
Congratulations. It was a long time coming. I love you.
Love you too.
Quite a class. Quite a stage. A lot of special people in this building today. A lot of special people on this stage. And a lot of years of caring and commitment and passion, those words that I used when I opened today. And for you student athletes that came today, thank you. I think you got to see a pretty broad stroke painted of what this place means to so many people of so many age groups. I challenge you as student athletes and all of my coaches, many of them that were able to be here today, to continue this tradition, this long-standing tradition of family and support and making this place what it is, and that is special. I'm going to introduce the class one more time, and we'll get a final round of applause for them. But before I do that, like these folks, there are a lot of people that I need to thank. My support staff that made this happen today, and there's a lot more that's going to go on today. I use this line all the time, and I stand by it firmly. You're only as good as those you surround yourself with. And I've got the best. Thank you, Todd Moore. Thank you, Brandon Smith. Thank you, Brooke Thompson. Thank you, Heather Panning. Ron is going to get up here before I introduce the class one last time, because we certainly need to thank our Booster Club board, who is instrumental in so many things, including today. And we aren't able to be special without those people. So I'm going to bring Booster Club board member Ron Mason up, and he's going to introduce those that are with us today that help continue to make Barton Community College athletics what they are today, and that is the best. So please help me welcome Booster Club board member Ron Mason. I just have them all stand up, man. That way you know who they are.
Yeah, I got a list too. First of all, I didn't know I was sitting next to a Bronco fan. I flipped my phone on, I got a Chiefs logo, and she said they're going to lose tomorrow. I don't think they're going to lose tomorrow. So with that being said, seriously, Ray, you wore pants today, correct? The volleyball coach here, Alan Siegel, He wears shorts all the time. Alan, do you have shorts on or do you have pants on? You got pants on. Congratulations. Middle of January, last part of, or 1st of February, he's still in shorts. So we've got some really, I've been part of this booster club for, umpteen years, so, and it's dear to my heart and I love it to death. So the president of the booster club and his wife aren't going to be able to be here, and I'm sure he would love to be up here with Ray for sure. Rob and Kelly Bowman are on the board. Miss them, they're great leaders for us, and we'll go from there. But what I'll do is have everybody stand up that's on the Booster Club board and wave and do something here. Ladies first, of course. Janice Link, she's our vice president. She's over there in the corner. Sandy Smith is also over there with her. Cole Rife, the voice of the Cougars. Chuck Fellholter, board member. Eric Gotchi, where's Eric? Eric, stand up, please. I know you're here. Kelly Miller, thanks, Kelly. Stan Kaiser's not here today. Dr. Hallman, of course. Troy Moore's not here. Steve Divis is here, I'm sure. And my buddy, he's been a board member forever, and that's my good friend. He comes by and visits me every day, is David Foss. Kevin Sundahl has been around forever. He's our right-hand man that keeps us in line with our funds and so forth and so on. So speaking of that, of the funds that we've raised with our golf tournament that we've done so well at over the years to provide and help the athletic department out with all these trips to to the national tournament, to the regional games and stuff like that. We've done a fantastic job with the help from the community and the school to help these student athletes, just like you out there. We've done this for many, many years, and it's been a great deal for us to help you guys out, because it means a lot to the community and to the school. Barton has been recognized as one of the top programs in the United States of America. And I would like to say we probably have one of the best booster clubs at the junior college level in the United States. And we keep it up, we're going to keep it rolling, we'll keep it going. I want to thank the athletic department, of course. So thanks to them and the administration for letting us have this booster club. And that being said, congratulations to the inductees today from the booster club. Thank you, guys.
Let's talk about family and the support system that family provides. Certainly the Booster Club, a big part of our support system and our family. So on behalf of the athletic department, we'd like to thank all of our Booster Club members and certainly our Booster Club board, who again were a big part in making this happen today. Let's talk about schedule the rest of the day, and then we'll give one more notable applause to our inductees for the 2022 Hall of Fame. As soon as I get done up here, feel free to meet and greet with the new inductees. Todd will want to take some pictures, so don't run off. But we'll meet and greet student athletes. We got cake left and we got punch left. Don't leave without getting some cake and punch, and that goes for anybody in here. We don't like taking that stuff home, and we want you to enjoy in that. So please, after you meet and greet, we'll take some pictures. Let's eat some more food. Let's drink some more punch. Inductees, families, current Hall of Fame members and families, we will proceed over to the Kavanaugh Room in what used to be called the library for us old school people. It's the Learning Resource Center now. But we'll have our meal over there at about 11:45 or 12, and it's 10 after 11 now, so that'll give us plenty of time to, again, meet and greet and get our pictures taken and all of that. After we have our meal over there with Hall of Famers and families, we'll come back. Our women's basketball game tips at 2 p.m., and our men at roughly 4 p.m. And between games, we will recognize publicly our new inductees and then all of our current Hall of Famers who are able to be in attendance for this afternoon's games. So that's how the schedule is going to roll out the rest of the day. Certainly wish our women's and men's basketball teams good luck today against Independence. I do have a parking lot item to ask. So many of you probably parked in the Northwest parking lot. There are reserved parking places in there for the basketball games. So sometime before 12:30, if you're parked in that one row that runs north and south with the metal signs, if you could move somewhere besides there, that would be great, so that I don't have any of those reserved parking holders get pissy with me at the games today, but because somebody's in their parking spot. But again, we've got plenty of time to get moved, but if you are parked in one of those, if you could move before 12:30, that would be great. Did I leave anything out? Yes, I did. Yes. I told all your coaches this. I'm not sure they all relayed it. I told them a couple days ago, I'm going to feed the entire student section at halftime of the women's game today. So if you are in the student section yelling loud and supporting your family that we've talked about so much today, I'll give you a ticket. So you need to be there at 2 o'clock, and I'll give you a ticket. And then anybody that's in the student section and has a ticket, we'll have pizza for you at halftime of the women's game today. Okay? We want you to be loud, and we want you to be proud. What else did I forget? Todd? Okay, let's close this thing up. Female student athlete, multi-sport. Tremendous impact here. Did you hear those records of their team? And I know Christi, and in talking to Coach Bouchard, you know, in his words, the team meant just as much as her individual accolades and how well their teams did. Outstanding career here. Congratulations. Let's give her one more big round of applause. And Jeff, coming here as a young lad, your experience as a student athlete here, coming back as a coach and the impact you made here, and certainly the success of your teams. An outstanding story. Met your wife here from Hill City, America. You didn't mention that earlier. Hoxie, but you went to Hill City this weekend.
Yeah.
How could I ever, I'm so sorry, Hoxie.
Feedlot, 10 miles from Grinnell.
10 miles from Grinnell, feedlot country.
Yeah.
Yes. Awesome story. Stand up, Jeff. Let's have one more big hand for Jeff Beaman. Congratulations. And last but certainly not least, 40 plus years of heart and soul into supporting student athletes, coaches, and this entire college. The commitment that he has made to this college and our athletic department in particular. Ladies and gentlemen, one more big hand for David Foss. Your 2022 Barton Sports Hall of Fame members, Christi, Ensz, Rife, Jeff Beaman, and David Foss. Thank you all for coming today. Don't forget about the punch and the cake. You can meet the inductees, and we'll see you at the games this afternoon. Thank you.